Well, hello, Fleshbags. It's been a hot minute, huh? Well, sorry to say that this isn't the Catan video. Motivation's at an all-time low, and I also have a full-time job, so I don't have a lot of time to really work on big video projects like I used to. That being said, however, the Catan video is still in the works. I'm about halfway through writing and procuring assets, one of which is actually posted to my Patreon, which you can donate to for as little as $1 a month. Shameless plug aside, the assets are actually pretty short. It's about a minute. I'll just show you, but I would appreciate any support you could give me. And if you don't feel like having yet another subscription, then I do have a Ko-fi that you can make a one-time donation to. Anything else. Anyway, now on to that clip.
War is what I was made for. One of the Emperor's finest warriors. An angel of death, they called me. And I believed it. Know no fear, the chaplain preaches. I have slain countless foes in the name of the Emperor. But now, in my darkest hour, my body screams. It screams to flee, to run, to hide. I want to obey, to turn away from the horror before me. But I cannot. My blood runs cold. My limbs are locked. Is this terror? They called me an angel of death. But now I stand before death itself. No fear. I say to soothe myself as doom gazes into my very soul. And at this moment, I know fear.
Wasn't that exciting? Now, on to the topic I want to ramble about. So, the Iron Hands. Who are they? Well, the Iron Hands are a Space Marine chapter that dates back to the time of the Legion. Being the 10th Legion, they are masters of tank assaults and siege breaking. They are known for being cold and detached from the Imperium at large, and even their own humanity. So then, why are they my favorite chapter? I like to think it's because the Iron Hands are more than just the chapter of Tech Marine. I like to think that they repress their emotions as that's what's expected of them, and reinforced by their Mechanicus allies in the rest of the chapter, that if you don't fit in, you'll be replaced. And as someone who, in their real life, represses their emotions constantly, I can relate to them on some level. Look at Ironfather Pharaohs. From the outset, and in most common cases, he is your typical outward Iron Hands figure. Cold, distant, logical. Yet when I read about him in the Clan Rauken supplement for 6th edition, well, let me read it for you. A Titan is a mighty weapon of the Omnissiah, but without the fires of its reactor, it is but cold, dead metal. To me, that's Pharaohs' way of telling the Tech Marines who return from Mars that your machines make you strong, but you're nothing without your humanity. And it's that made me go, yes, him. He's why I love this chapter. Granted, I don't have an Iron Hands chapter army, but I plan to make a Clan Morgul for the Heresy, but that's basically just making the same thing as a Red Talons army. But that's not to say I don't have a successor. If you hang around the Astartes Anonymous Discord server or are in the Bone Zone, the Mr. Bones 40k Discord, you would have seen me by now post characters and minis of mine that are part of my Silver Hammers homebrew chapter. And while their lore has changed drastically from their first incarnation, the core has remained the same. They're an Iron Hands who are in touch with their humanity, yet are cursed to continue to fall in the trappings of the Iron Hand. For example, Brother Morris gets both arms ripped from his body, a leg blown off, and a giant shard of shrapnel lodged in his first lung. Well, they don't exactly have enough dreadnought sarcophaguses to plunge him into, so they just give him a motorized lung, a new bionic arm, and a bionic leg, and then for good measure, a bionic eye, too. Knights in shining armor, cursed to follow in the footsteps of their forebears. But this isn't about my chapter, this is about the Iron Hands. I just wanted to delve into mine to emphasize why I love the idea that the humanity of the Iron Hands is suppressed rather than outright removed. Moving on, I also think it's kind of a tragedy that people misunderstand them. What do I mean? Well, people just see them as the Tech Marine chapter, as stated before, and they are far more than that. They have an entire council, and boiled down to their basis, yeah, they kinda are, but they still have tactical squads, devastators, and their Primaris reinforcement. And while they have their affinity for tech, most of it comes from their close ties to the Mechanicum, which can lead to conflicts of interest with the greater Imperium as a whole, as seen with the Morai Schism.
The what?
The Morai Schism was an event in where a tech priest saw visions of the Mechanicus and the Ecclesiarchy combining and overthrowing Mars. You could see why the rest of the Mechanicus wouldn't like that. Well, the Iron Hands and their successors found members within their chapter who sided with the Creed, and it was causing issues because it's a religious schism. What do you expect? So the Iron Hands, not wanting the Inquisition to decimate their chapter, decided it best to pen the Decree Accrutus that exiled all Morai Creed believers out of the chapter. Just don't ask what the Red Talons did to theirs. These exiled Marines would eventually become the Sons of Medusa, the bright lime green Iron Hand successor. And if I didn't already have my own successor, I'd be playing Sons of Medusa. In more recent times, the Iron Hands have been seeing more love in how they're depicted, and with the 40k setting now in actual motion with things moving along, I hope to see more members of the Iron Hands follow the path of Ferrus Manus and come to terms with their humanity. Now, with the boring lore out of the way, how about those rules? Well, so this is going to be the one time I mention this, but I think the Iron Hands were a lot better in the older editions. In 7th edition, the Iron Hands had a 6-up Feel No Pain across the board, or +1 from sources like Northesium, and characters and vehicles had It Will Not Die that let them regenerate wounds and hull points. On top of this, any tech priest got a plus to their Blessing of the Omnissiah roll, which just let them repair vehicles better. In 8th edition, they had what was essentially a 6-up Feel No Pain, but a Feel No Pain is still better than nothing. In 9th edition, they still had the 6-up Feel No Pain from the 8th edition rules, but then they got the addition of vehicles count as having double the amount of wounds for the purposes of shooting attacks, which was very powerful in 9th as vehicles got worse with the more damage they took. And now in 10th, the Iron Hands chapter tactic doesn't exist, with the closest approximation to chapter tactics being the detachments system. And I mean, fair, but I liked having the chapter trait of the chapter, not have it be part of the detachment, but whatever. Basically, the detachment for the Iron Hands is the Iron Storm Spearhead, and it's arguably one of the better ones to take. It lets you, once per phase, reroll 1 hit, wound, or damage roll. It's dead simple, easy to remember, it's fine. The enhancements, save for the Flesh is Weak and Master of Machine Warfare, can only be taken by Tech Marines and buff vehicles, except, again, the Flesh is Weak, because that just gives your character 4 Feel No Pain. Can you all tell I don't like 10th? But it's the latest edition, so it's what I have to post to stay up to date. Anyway, my rambling is over. Big shout out to my patrons. Without you guys, I wouldn't be making anything. And with that, fare ye well, meatbags. May we meet again soon.